Thank you for coming to our Nova Chat today with Austin Gappelberg from Hampton's Chocolate Factory. So, what our goal with these Nova Chats are is to really kind of dive in deep with our industry expert guests and our special guests. I'm really excited to talk to Austin today because he is a super young entrepreneur. Austin, how old are you?
I'm 23.
23. And
Yeah.
we're going to hear all about Austin's story, but he is the co-chief executive officer, co-CEO at Hampton's Chocolate Factory. Driven by lifelong connections in the business, he joined the family enterprise at the age of 13 when he gained invaluable entrepreneurial insights at a really young age. And Austin spent his senior year at the University of Tampa creating a capstone business plan focused on the idea of easy corporate gifting. Then he realized that basically what made the difference is using um, gifting to build those meaningful relationships, probably versus the other way around. And he believes that there's no better way to do that than with chocolate, of course. So Austin and his brother Grant, which we'd love to hear a little bit about, your co-CEO, aspire to grow the Hampton Chocolate Factory to become a 100-year generational brand that really becomes the famed dessert destination and gift choice in America. So welcome, Austin. We're happy to have
Thanks.
you.
Thanks for having me. That was a mouthful, but I think you got it right on.
Good, good. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Maggie Olson, founder of Nova Chief of Staff. You can always find out more about us at novachiefofstaff.com. But today is all about Austin. So we just heard in your bio that you created this capstone project in school, and that really kind of propelled you into the next steps at Hampton. And you and I have chatted a little bit before as well.
Yeah.
So how did this project come up at school? And then where have you gone since then? Was that like a year or so ago?
Yeah, it's been about 2 years. And to be honest with you, yeah, we were tasked as a senior year capstone project at the University of Tampa to come up with a business plan. And I always like to do stuff that's actually going to, be real. I don't want to create something that I'm not going to be able to actually do and take action on. So as I like to say, you always want to be surrounded by people smarter than you. So I recruited the smartest students in the class and
Amazing.
convinced them that this was the business plan to win first place at the business competition. And we did. So
Amazing.
it was worth it.
Congratulations. And
Thank you.
why did you win? Like what was so great about it?
I think the idea that it was actually achievable in, business plans, a lot of them, they get really detailed in something that's, it's a plan, right? But if it's a plan that's something you can execute on, that's a little bit different. So, we created that plan, and later on, that was how I kind of executed this whole corporate gifting side of the business, which was not there beforehand. So the business plan was actually a plan which led to execution, which is pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So was your brother in class with you
So
or
my brother is a couple years younger than me, and just so I'm more on the corporate side of the business, and Grant, my brother, is more on the store side of the business. So our division of responsibilities and our different skill sets really complement each other, which is unique, and honestly, that's why I work so flawlessly.
That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to get into some of this, but tell me in a little more detail, what was the plan that you put out to achieve in school that you've been executing on for this last year?
Yeah, so it was this idea of easy corporate gifting. A lot of companies they make it complicated, and gifting shouldn't be complicated. I like to say, there should be somebody that's focused on building their business, and then there should be almost like a gifting expert, gifting concierge, if you will. So this business plan was built around the idea of easy gifting, and the process is simply, instead of ordering 100 different gifts, you send us a bulk list, exporting it from your CRM. And once you kind of do that, you're done. Easy as one, two, three, as I like to say. Step one, choose your gift. Step two, basically select when you want it delivered. And step three, I like to say, there really isn't a step three, but just sit back and relax and wait for those thank you phone calls, because they do come in, and they come in pretty aggressively too when people receive the chocolate.
Amazing. Okay, that's awesome. So, what is it like working with your brother? I want to go in there a little bit. And what was
Yeah.
your relationship like growing up, and how does that play out now as
Yeah.
co-CEOs?
It's funny. Somebody asked me the same question recently, and I'm glad I have a great answer. So, we grew up together in the same house, We had bunk beds in the same room. And, we've been living together. I'm 23, he's 20. So out of my 23 years, we've probably been living in the same apartment or house, for 21 of those years. There's been 2 years where I had a different apartment at a different school. But, growing up, we were close. And then there was a kind of a pivot point. I don't know when it was, maybe 16 to 18, when, things maybe got a little bit more serious in high school. We got started getting a little bit closer. But when the business kind of came about, the Hampton Chocolate Factory, and we took it over together, it was in the beginning a little bit rough learning how we both operate, learning how we both kind of can function as business owners because, to be honest with you, we were learning as we went. We didn't have this, we had a plan for the corporate gifting side, but the retail store is a whole nother animal in terms of learning that business side of the business. And, we were butting heads a little bit, and it took about 6 months. And then we finally figured out, what? We each have our own strengths. Let's kind of focus in our own things. And I would say that's one of, the biggest lessons I've learned, to be honest with you, is, division of responsibilities and, holding each other accountable. That's kind of like right now we have a weekly meeting every Sunday where there's no distractions and we kind of connect and we talk about the things we achieved, the things we're working towards, and the things we missed. And if one of us, is missing something, then we can hold each other accountable to it. So, the dynamic has been great, and we still live together today in the same apartment. So it's pretty cool.
Okay, so do you feel like you get kind of brother non-work time, or is it all work all the time because you're building Hampton
Yeah.
Chocolate Factory?
So we've now combined the two, right? So work is life and life is work, where, one of our favorite things to do is, eat ice cream, simply put. And I'm not making that eat ice cream and, chocolate too, but ice cream more than chocolate. And, we really have created this, unbreakable bond where we're aligned. I like to think of, business, and we create this mastermind alliance where, multiple people are trying to achieve the same goal. And, we're totally aligned in the vision and the mission of the Hampton Chocolate Factory. But on the brother side of things, we are able to still complement that and, do fun things together. And I think because, I always say the Hampton Chocolate Factory is a fun business, chocolate and ice cream, it doesn't really get much more fun than that. If it was tech or something that's, maybe not as exciting and, tasty, it would maybe be a little bit different. But we have our fair share of fun, to say the least. People think, they don't believe me when I tell them we have ice cream pretty much every day. So
Okay, I love that. Well,
yeah,
let's remember at the end of this call to share your Instagram with
yeah,
people. It's on a whole nother level. I think they have like 500,000 followers. It's beautiful ice cream art. I was blown away when I saw it. I mean, I might be wrong on some of these details, but I was blown away. It's very, very cool. But okay, Austin, I want to hear a little bit more about how you got a hold of the Hampton's Chocolate Factory company. Was it your
yeah.
parents' company
Yeah,
originally?
absolutely. So
Okay.
to tell the story, so started out in the Hamptons in New York, and when I was 13, Grant was 11, we kind of took it over, and we had a store out in the Hamptons, opened up in 20, I believe it was 2016, and kind of learning the business every year, gaining more responsibility. The Hampton Chocolate Factory was created to represent the luxury and taste of the Hamptons. And also as a platform for both Grant and I to learn the fundamentals of business. Our parents, mom and dad, always saw, they wanted to motivate us to get involved in business, and no better way to learn it than in a family business. So, we spent our summers out there, learned the business. But I mean, today it's so different than it was back then, to be honest with you. We didn't even have I like the term you use, ice cream art. I'm going to use it there. We didn't have ice cream art. We didn't do any of this corporate gifting.
Yeah,
And Grant and I have been able to add our unique value here in Tampa, and it's been pretty awesome. But 2014 to 2024 today, it's been about 10 years, and we're about 10% of the way there to our 100-year brand journey. So
amazing. Okay, so
yeah,
there's a lot that's different from
yeah.
back in 2014. What's the same about Hampton Chocolate Factory?
Yeah, so the frozen s'more is one of the desserts that I will give, my dad credit. He says he thought of it in his sleep, and it's unique in the idea that we're the only place you can get a frozen s'more. S'mores typically campfire s'mores, but imagine a frozen marshmallow, but it's not a hard marshmallow, but chewy, dipped in chocolate. That's one thing that's still the same. And then we still have some of the same chocolate flavors that we had, and some of the same packaging, but the brand concept doesn't change, right? The Hampton Chocolate Factory being that that Hamptons brand that
Hmm.
represents the luxury and taste of the Hamptons. And I was actually on a call with somebody yesterday, and I always ask people like, have you ever heard of the Hamptons? Have you been to the Hamptons? And I'm curious to know if people in the chat, have you guys been to the Hamptons, or if you've heard of the Hamptons before? Because that's really the core of the Hampton Chocolate Factory. Being from the Hamptons, we like to say founded in New York, now based in Tampa. So
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So we've got Lisa's been there. Megan was there at some point. Hi, Megan. Okay. Well, I think it's on all of our lists. I wish that
cool.
you could send out the frozen s'more, but I don't
Yeah,
think that's going to work as well. So we'll just have
and
to
not
put
as
it
well
on
as
our,
chocolate. Yeah,
yeah, put it on our Florida
put it
list.
on
Or
the to-do list.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. So let's switch gears and talk a little bit about kind of the intrinsic things that make you who you are today and how you relate with people. So kind of going back into your childhood and thinking about the years you were working out in the Hamptons as you were young, learning this business. What are some of those habits and skills that are still with you today that maybe are just inherently who you are? And then on top of that, what do you feel like you've had to learn and work harder at that doesn't come quite as naturally to you?
Yeah. So I'll talk towards, the kind of the core values that I live my life by. And one thing, and the easiest way to address it would be this phrase that actually a mentor came up with that I just live by, and it's just try it on. And what I mean by that is, you don't know a piece of clothing fits, you don't know something works until you just try it out. Until you try it, until you really experience it and, get customer feedback, that's kind of one core value that you have to have. And we're actually in the process of redoing our menus right now for the store. And, one thing that we're doing is we're giving it to people and we're saying, what do you think? What do you think about this? And, another core value that I kind of live by is, I do triathlons, marathons. I'm training for another one next month, actually. And it's, this never ending journey of continuous improvement. Right. We never know everything. There's always an opportunity to learn. And, we just brought somebody on the Hampton Chocolate Factory corporate team, and she's much more experienced than me. I have 23 years on this earth. I think she might, double or triple me, but I'm obviously the leader, but I'm so willing to learn from everything she has to say because experience is priceless. And being able to learn from somebody that's been there and done that, it's, unshakable in terms of what you can learn. And that's why I seek out, different conversations with different people. I always say, you just have to have a conversation because you don't know where that conversation is going to lead to, whether it's a new business opportunity or just a relationship that you want to build and nurture over the next couple of years. And one thing that people often expect, and a lesson I've learned is, things take time and you can't expect immediate results. And I'm somebody that likes to run, run, run very fast and not really look behind me and kind of just keep running until I realize that I'm running maybe a little too fast. But I've learned that now, and now it's this idea, I like to say, strategic growth. How can you strategically grow but not grow too fast, whether it's business or personal? I'm an avid reader, self-development, and just continuously, driving home this idea of becoming the best version of myself. How can I achieve all of my personal goals simultaneous to my business goals? 10 years from now, if I looked at Austin Gappelberg, what is that picture that I want to paint? And how can I do that in a way that, I feel like I left a legacy behind? Because it really comes down to purpose and, all these material things that are definitely fun, they don't really give you that ultimate fulfillment in the end. So I think that's the first leg of your question. And
Yeah.
the
And you feel
second,
like those are the values that you've had that are just kind of inherently who you are and they have been with you for a long time.
yeah, I'll give a lot of credit to my dad being a serial entrepreneur. I like to say entrepreneurialism's in my blood, and I didn't see another way. Back in the day, I ordered some sunglasses from China. I was selling them online for a very high profit, and then I created a product from idea to manufacturing to Amazon. And entrepreneurship is just something that I take to my core, and
Mhm.
I feel like entrepreneurialism is it can be life in the way, it doesn't have to be business. It's just the way you approach life. And, a lot of people honestly don't think that or realize that it's, entrepreneurialism is really an approach rather than,
Mhm.
a business person, because it's always,
Yeah.
you're an entrepreneur, but in reality, are you entrepreneurial in what you do? So
Yeah. I like the way you said that. That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I do want to hear what's been harder for you, but first, what role did you hire that woman to
She's,
into at Hamptons?
yeah, she's actually going to be helping our corporate gifting division, looking to build more business and really build more relationships.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'm
awesome.
excited
So
for
good, good. Well, that's
that.
great. So what comes less naturally to you? What's harder for you? What are some lessons that you've had to learn the hard way?
Yeah. So I touched on it briefly, but running too fast, getting things done in a not strategic way. And I would also say that, if you just kind of get things done too quickly, the results aren't there. And I'll go back to this, this hire, right? It took 3 months, which seems like a long time while you're in it. But if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, and now we think about an 100-year brand plan, 3 months is really it's a small decibel on the map. And being able to separate from the day to day is something that is so challenging, and I still struggle with to
Mhm.
this day. Being able to get that outside perspective, something Grant and I like to do, on our Sundays, we try to stay out of the business, 24/7. We're always working. And, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it's, the Hampton Chocolate Factory. But on Sunday, we do our best to log out of the day to day and focus on, industry research or learning more about just top few things. We've been focusing on our 10-year plan recently and just trying to understand the business as a whole because if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. And, it's kind of one of those things that I keep going back to it. Running too fast it's
Yeah.
cost us a lot in time. It's cost us a lot in mistakes. And everyone I talk to, they say, you're young. Don't try to grow too fast. You have a lot of time. If you were 40 years down the line, maybe you want to move a little faster, but you have so much time on your plate. Just take advantage of it and be able to do things the right way, do them once versus having to do them twice or three times and just trying to, get it right over and over again by making, maybe not the same mistakes, but even, mistakes that are in the same ballpark.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so, so important for business owners to have dedicated time spent on strategy and planning. It's this is a really common phrase, but the time on the business versus the
Yep.
time in the business. You've heard that
Yep.
before, but it's tough, right? And it's tough when you also. I think it's also important to make sure that you get away from the business because you're going to think about it a lot more clearly when you have that time away. So
Yep.
it's always tough when you're doing all the things and you're running the show and filling the
Yep.
orders and
In
sending
the
the
beginning,
emails.
everything, right? And
Yeah.
it's interesting because you're still in it, right? There's phases though where, in the beginning you're doing everything and then you hire specialized people to do certain things. And over time you become just the visionary. But that takes a long time to get there. I'm excited to be there, but we have a long way to go.
Yeah, and you'll need a chief of staff soon enough too, right?
Yes, definitely.
All right. So, this is a good question that someone on my team put together. It's really interesting to think about your business and the multiple streams of revenue that you have. So, how many different revenue streams do you have? And what is your kind of in another vein, what's your biggest differentiator from your competition? I'm thinking you're going to say relationships there, but I
Well,
don't
no,
know.
actually, I have a different answer
Okay, okay.
because everyone does has relationships, but it's yeah, I'll get into that side. So to answer your question, the different verticals of the business, right? We try to keep it simple, and there's these are sub channels, but simply put, it's the retail, which is the store, and then there's the corporate, which is the gifting. And on the corporate side, you have warehouse and fulfillment. On the retail, you have their team there, but within the retail, I think you may have seen we do like catering for local events. And we do chocolate bar making classes in the store, which is pretty fun. We had one last week, and you're able to do like a team building event. But those are the two different kind of verticals of the
Okay.
business. And it's I would say that, luckily, like I said in the beginning, Grant and I, we have our different strengths and different focuses. I couldn't imagine being able to or having to, juggle both at the same time. I don't think it'd be possible to do it effectively while, trying to grow because you really need to build that strong foundation. But we both are able to focus on a different vertical and grow it strategically kind of together. So um, that's kind of the way that works. And what was the second part of that question?
So it's really what's your biggest differentiator
The differentiate.
besides relationships?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Besides relationships, yeah, put that in disclaimer. Yeah, so
Yeah.
something I'll note, our differentiator, simply put, and this is our mission statement, is providing a one of a kind, memorable experience. And that goes along with the store, where you come in the store, it's welcome to the Hampton Chocolate Factory. It's not what can I get you? The difference is in the details, as I like to say. And, in the store, it's a one of a kind, memorable experience with the ice cream art and with the welcome to the Hampton Chocolate Factory and with the gifts, the details of the way we do things, the product being different. So, I know you've seen the gift boxes, but for those of you
Yeah.
that haven't, I like to say it's almost like jewels of chocolate in a jewelry box versus your typical bonbon or truffle or piece of chocolate. And that point of difference really makes us stand out. And something that I'll kind of hint to and allude to is we're going hard at the experience, and we haven't dropped it yet, but we're going to be adding something really unique to the gift boxes this year, where essentially there's going to be a sampling experience with each gift box, because we've gotten the feedback that people typically, the way our chocolate is, they'll enjoy it over a period of days or weeks depending on the size of their box. So we're now going to guide people to basically say, this flavor day one, this flavor day two, this flavor day three, and now they can have, instead of it's an 8 pocket gift box, it's really an 8 day gift box. So it's an experience in itself. And experience and product would be our point of difference. And of course, obviously, the story to
Yeah.
two brothers taking over their family business, that's the core value. But, the product and the experience are something that we continue to invest in. And I believe that, it's a great question, to be honest with you, because you have to be different. If you're like everyone else, then why even
Yeah.
go after it?
Well, and I think even though I was kind of joking around the relationship portion, I
Yeah.
do think that's huge for you.
Yeah.
You're out there making incredible relationships. I I know because you posted on LinkedIn that you're talking to Tommy Hilfiger later today.
Yes.
So, if you're listening, if you're on this call and listening, feel free to pop your questions into the Q&A section of the webinar. That's where I'm kind of looking for questions. So feel free to pop them in there. But before we get there, tell us about how the heck how and why are you meeting with Mr. Hilfiger
Yeah.
later today?
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad I have a cool story to back it too. So, networking and relationships are a core value of mine. And I truly believe that's what, business is about: relationships. Transactional business was kind of, something of the old age. Here we are now with everything tech and digital. And the only way to stand out is truly building authentic relationships. And so I got very involved in my school, the University of Tampa. It was kind of a platform for me to grow from. And there was this guy that I wanted to meet for, honestly, I met him, but I followed up with him. I wanted to get lunch or coffee with him. And I'll be honest, it took a year to get a meeting. But I always say, another thing I like to say, the difference is in the follow-up. People are busy.
Very true.
They're just busy. It's not that they don't like you. It's not that they don't want to answer. They just got a lot going on. And until they basically say, I'm too busy, I'll reach out when I'm ready, they're giving you the green light to, follow up with them. And most of the time, they say, thanks so much. I'm just so busy. I forgot about it. Thanks for reaching
Mm-hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Totally agree.
followed up with this guy after a year multiple times, and I got the meeting, and he actually introduced me to somebody, and there's another saying that, you're a couple touches away from your next best opportunity, a couple people away. And although, going back to just having those conversations, although that person might not be your ideal client or ideal new relationship, they probably know somebody that is. So this person that I got coffee with, we had a great meeting, we built a relationship, and we bonded. He introduced me to somebody that was actually the ex-CEO of HSN, which is like where Lori Grenier from Shark Tank, and she sells a lot of her products. And I had a call with that guy. And, I said to the guy on that call, it was, I think, 2 days before Valentine's Day. And I said, I don't know, do you need Valentine's Day chocolate? He's like, well, my wife probably won't be too happy if I didn't get her chocolate for Valentine's Day. So can you get it to me by, I think, Wednesday? And I said, yeah, let me see what I can do. So I shipped him a box. He said, you got it done. Kudos to you. I want to introduce you to a couple people I know. And one of those people was Tommy Hilfiger. I sent Tommy a box of chocolate, and I get an email from Tommy Hilfiger saying, "Hey, thanks so much for the box of chocolate. It was delicious." Is this real? Let me check to make sure the email is actually Tommy Hilfiger. And then I sent him a couple paragraph email basically saying, I admire his business experience and success. And, I'd love to see if there's an opportunity just to learn and see what value I can give and also get. And that's another key thing. Obviously, Tommy Hilfiger being, you know, Mr. Couple hundred million billionaire, whatever the number is, and business experience and, celebrity mogul. How can I give and add value to him? That's another thing I always look for. And, with every conversation I have with people, it's, what can I do for you? And it's never a take, take, take. It's always a give, give, give. And with the call later today, that's kind of the goal. Although I know he probably has everything that he dreams of, other than maybe a lifetime supply of chocolate that I can help him out with. How can I add value to him, and how can I really learn from him? And, eventually, after coordinating with his EA for a month, he was in, I think, Europe last week. He's going to Asia next week. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but he's just traveling the world. And I actually had to, the follow up, right? I think I sent 4 or 5 follow up emails, and she's just like, I'm sorry, he's all over the place. I'm so busy trying to coordinate. Thanks so much for following up. Are you available? And this was, I think, Monday. Are you available Wednesday, 5:45? I was like, yes,
Amazing.
I'm
Yes,
available.
I'm
Let's do it.
available. Yes.
So here we are. What's the countdown? It's an hour and 15 minutes, and I'll be talking to Mr. Hilfiger.
Okay, so pop into the Q&A portion of the webinar and let Austin know what you should ask Tommy Hilfiger, okay?
Yeah.
What should he ask? That's really cool, and it is also very, very fascinating and interesting just to like think about the number of touch points and years and people
Yeah.
that if you dotted it like the line,
Yeah.
how to get to this conversation in an hour.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting. And it's such a good reminder and it's such a good lesson. I definitely identify with the like, just follow up. Oftentimes people are just so busy, but we assume, oh, it's not important. They don't, they don't want to talk to us. It's not about, it's usually 100% about them and not about you. So I think it's a really good reminder, and just something to continue to lean into. So I love that, Austin. Okay, well, we have a question from somebody who is on our webinar here. So has the price of chocolate affected your products and pricing or how you run the business and manage hiring new employees? And then she linked an article to
Yeah.
CNBC about record level chocolate costs.
That's a great question. And funny enough, I think I posted something a couple weeks ago because cacao, the price is going up exponentially. So what we're doing strategically, right, planning in advance, is we're going to be basically leveling up our inventory for the holidays now. Simply put, we're going to be making sure that we can lock in those cocoa prices now, even though they're raised exponentially versus, 3 months ago, 5 months ago. They're expected to go up, potentially even double in the next 6 months. And, planning in advance. And, for us, we don't want to have to increase our pricing. We want to keep pricing the same. We want to keep the value the same. And, by getting ahead of the curve, we're going to be able to do that. So that's a great question. The taste of the chocolate isn't changing, just putting that out there. The price of the cocoa might be going up, but the quality is not going down.
Okay, so this made me think about my background as a buyer at Nordstrom, and every different team I was on, like the different category of business that we were buying for, had a different holiday kind of X to it. So,
Yeah.
for example, the home department, where I spent a lot of time, it was a six X. Sales were 6X compared
Mm.
to the rest of the year.
Yeah.
What's chocolate like in December compared to the rest of the year?
So it's, yeah,
Like
I'd
10,
say,
12?
yeah, it's a lot. I would say, and this is a fact, actually, reading about industry, it's important to understand. And, just to speak towards, there's a company owned by Warren Buffett, See's Candy. They do 80% of their profit in the month of December.
Yeah.
Which is, insane. For us, it's 90% of sales in December.
Okay.
But oftentimes, a lot of
Wow.
people are planning in advance. So although maybe not 90% of sales, but 90% of fulfillment, oftentimes, corporate
That makes
gifting,
sense.
you plan it August, September, October, and, maybe even during the summer, depending on how big the order, and you
Hmm.
kind of schedule it for December. We're able to schedule it so that you kind of have it ready to go and you don't even have to worry about it. And then we ship it in December. But I could say I lived in the warehouse last December. I saw it all going out. I was packaging boxes myself, printing labels. So yeah, it's a lot in the month of December.
It's a lot. All right. So Tara has a question. It's a fun one. Who's your dream client or company to work with and for on the corporate gifting side?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. That's a fun one. So,
And you're
as
already
some,
working with Nova Chief of Staff, so it's okay. You don't have to say
yeah,
yes.
yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, that was actually the first thing that came to mind. The a brand that I envy and love, and it's unique and it's funny, but I always like to say the Hampton Chocolate Factory is the Gucci of chocolate. So Gucci would be that dream client, and Gucci is just, the experience when you walk into a Gucci, hey, can I get you a Pellegrino? Can I get you, sparkling water or still water? And the service that they provide, that's a one of a kind memorable experience where, it's a concierge, and
Yeah.
I believe our chocolate and our packaging and our experience is on the level of Gucci. Not in terms of I like to think they're maybe a little bit too structured. We're a little bit more fun in the way we do things. It's not, shoulders tight, but more a little bit loose and have fun. So Gucci would be one, and you will see a Hampton Chocolate Factory Gucci collaboration. And I'm not sure when, but it's going to
Cool.
happen. I would guess probably in the next 3 years. So stay tuned for that too.
Amazing. You knew that that was my follow-up question.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get to our last question here from Megan. What is the most wild way that somebody would use? Okay, let's see. That TH would use Hampton's chocolate in a swag bag. Oh, this is a question for Mr. Hilfiger. Okay. So how could he use Hampton's chocolate in a swag bag? Is there custom airbrush logo, molds? She's suggesting that you talk to him about putting swag bags together.
That'd be cool. I know he's out of the business, so maybe, but he definitely knows who's running it. That's for sure.
Amazing.
It'd be really cool since our colors are, I mean, red and black. He's got the blue and red, so it would be cool to do some sort of collaboration. I mean, that would be, you want to talk about dreams. That would be really cool. Doing a collaborative gift box where it's the Tommy Hilfiger gift box, and you customize the flavors to represent his personal preferences, and the box is co-branded. That would be pretty cool. So that's a good idea. Thanks for
Okay,
that.
so I'm actually going to pop in one more question
Yeah.
because I think it's really valid and helpful for a lot of people who are in this kind of environment. Do you have any advice for gifting for not for profit or even like education world? I mean, institutions, there's different rules around gifting and there's different value caps on
Yep.
gifting. So what do you suggest for
It's a
Claire
great
here?
question. So I'll say this, and actually, it's something I recently learned in 2024. So when you put a logo on something, it's no longer a gift, it's marketing. And you're able to no longer say, I'm buying gifts, but you're now spending on marketing. And I don't
Huh,
think there's any restrictions on marketing in any business. So that right there
interesting.
that might be the takeaway of today. But that is something that is really unique, and we've worked with companies, and honestly, I think one of our clients told me that, and they were like,
Yeah,
we can put
fascinating.
a logo on it. Now it's actually not gifting, it's marketing. Because I know, yeah, a lot of government, a lot of education, finance, they have these restrictions. But once you put a logo, which, we have the capability to customize a box, and,
Yep.
you're able to really just segment it away from the gift to a marketing expense, which is cool.
That's very, very cool and super interesting. Okay, so Christina wrote in and said, Austin, you're so inspiring. Your authenticity is palpable. I totally agree. You're very fun to talk to. It's fun to hear what the youth entrepreneurs are
Yeah.
up to.
Yeah.
Because that is not me anymore. But I think what I want to leave with here is how do people get a hold of you? How do folks test out your chocolate?
Yeah.
Because I know that's kind of an option for
Yeah.
the folks on the call.
Yeah.
And how do they get into corporate gifting with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say first thing is, if you guys are on LinkedIn, just check me out at Austin Gappelberg. And then, like Maggie said, here's the reminder, check out our Instagram, just Hampton Chocolate Factory. But, with
Perfect.
regards to the gifting, I'd be happy, you said a key word, try the chocolate. Everyone wants to try the chocolate. I think everyone on this call wants to try the chocolate. They're probably like salivating a little bit, saying, why didn't you have chocolate? And, of course, I have it right on my desk. But something that I'd be happy to do is, if people want to send me an email, and my email is just Austin at Hampton Chocolate Factory, and thank you for putting it in the chat. I'd be happy to have a conversation and even ship you a sample of chocolate. So feel free to email me. And why don't you email me the word Nova so that I know where you're coming from. And just again, Maggie's going to put it in the chat, but I'd be happy to let people try the chocolate. And, if your company sends out gifts, love to see if there's an opportunity to build a relationship there. And, we can kind of converse through email. And, again, our whole goal is to be that gifting expert. I like to say, let us do the heavy gifting for you. You should be focused on whatever it is that your role and responsibility is, and let us handle the stress of gifting. We've kind of learned that gifting shouldn't be stressful. It should be easy, and let us be that gifting concierge to make it a seamless gift giving experience.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Austin. I will share briefly that I heard Austin speak at another event and we connected. I emailed him, got the chocolate sample. I really liked it. It was super yummy. Jeremy Burroughs had sent me a box of chocolates for being on his podcast at one point. So Austin now private labels his Hampton chocolate with a little Nova logo. I don't have to worry about putting it in the marketing bucket. It's truly a gift for us. For when I
Yeah,
have people on. Austin, you can send yourself a box of Nova's chocolate from
sure.
Hampton if you would
Yeah.
like, but super easy to work with, super fun. It feels good to have just kind of a plan and a way to thank people and have it taken care of. So thank you for that, Austin. And
Yeah.
thank you for everybody else who's been on the call listening. We love to have you, and we'll have another Nova chat here in a couple weeks. So with that, we will say goodbye. Anything else from you, Austin?
I think that's it. Everyone just work towards becoming the best version of yourself. So,
Love it. All
yeah.
right. Well, you take care,
Thank you
Austin.
guys. You too. Thanks,
Bye,
Maggie.
guys.